You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Teachers assisting in the upcoming Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections will get a 4,000 peso raise in honoraria. The Comelec says the funds will be taken from the money it saved in the preparations for the upcoming Barangay and SK polls. Let's go straight to the source of the story. Comelec Chairperson George Garcia. Good morning, Comelec Chair.
Good morning, Mamay. Good morning to all the televiewers of The Source.
Chairman, tell us what pushed the poll body to increase the honoraria for teachers, and how did you manage to source the funds?
Originally, Mamay, the Comelec is supposed to pay and to the honoraria of teachers for only 6,000, 5,000, and 4,000, meaning 6,000 for the chairperson of the electoral board, and the members will be receiving 5,000 only, and the other support staff will be receiving 4,000. But however, taking the cue from the statement of the president said that we should do everything in order to at least help the teachers in the event that there will be no exemption from the payment of taxes. So the Comelec will be sourcing the increase in honoraria from our savings and from the budget as given to us from the barangay and SK election, meaning we were able to save a lot because during our procurement, we were able to at least lower the prices of the election paraphernalia. So we will be able to at least give them 10,000, 9,000, and 8,000.
So let's look at the increase now. 10,000, you said, for chairpersons, 9,000 for electoral board members. Do you think this could still go higher?
If in the event, Mamay, that there will be an election for the delegates for the Constitutional Convention, we asked Congress, when I appeared before the House of Representatives Appropriation Committee, if we can give additional at least 2,000 pesos for our electoral board members. But in the meantime, the increase will only be for 10,000, 9,000, and 8,000. But in the event that there will be additional fund, the teachers should not worry. They're always our priority, and therefore we can give additional honoraria for them. But in the meantime, we'll just stick to the 10,000, 9,000, and 8,000, Mamay.
Chairman, how much of your budget, all in all, will you be allocating for the higher allowance?
We will be needing about 300 million pesos for the higher allowance, simply because we have to understand, and people must be able to understand also, that in an election, the biggest bulk of the expenditure is always for the honoraria of our electoral board members. Almost about 50 to 55% of the budget is always allocated for the honoraria of teachers. So 300 million, 250 to 300 million is what is needed for the increase in honoraria of our electoral board members.
What about the request of Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte to advance the payment for poll workers? Is this something you're considering?
Yes, ma'am. We are very supportive of the initiative of the Vice President. It's a welcome development, but however, for the information of everyone, more particularly our electoral board members, although they are our priority, we cannot, however, in the meantime, give the advance honoraria without the permission from the Commission on Audit. There was an experience by the Commission on Election in 2004 whereby we advanced a little part of their honoraria, but however, many of the electoral board members did not report for duty on election day, and that would be very, very problematic, Mamay, simply because when you advance something, you will have to require them to return the money. If that will be the subject of unliquidated cash advance on the part of the Comelec, and we can be charged. That's why if only the Commission Audit will allow us this time to advance a little part of their honoraria, at least for transportation allowance, then we can do that. But subject again to audit rules and regulation.
Chairman, the Comelec also moved the filing for COCs for the barangay and SK polls. So instead of July 3 to 7, it will now be August 28 to September 2. Now, how will this affect your preparations?
No effect at all, Mamay. As far as the Comelec is concerned, we merely advanced the filing of the candidacy by July 3 to 7 initially, because we would like to resolve all disqualification cases and recent cases that will be filed before the Commission on Election. In the past, we were being blamed at being able to resolve these disqualification cases and recent controversies, even during the election, even after the election. So this time, we committed to resolve early these cases. However, even if we will reset the filing by August 28 to September 2, based on our study and based on our understanding, still we'll be able to resolve these cases even before the October 30 polls for the SK and barangay. So there's no worry. There's no, the adjustment will not affect much the preparation of the Comelec. We are now prepared. We were able, Mamay, to print already the 91 million ballots for the 66 million regular voters and 25 million voters for the SK. And at the same time, this coming April, we're going to print additional 1.6 million voters, representing the number of voters that were able to register from December 12 to January 30.
Chairman, how many voters are you expecting for the October polls?
Initially, we have, Mamay, 91 million voters, but because of the increase in the number of voters due to the registration of new voters, we will have 92.6 million voters all in all, barangay regular voters and SK voters.
All right, we will be talking more about the preparations and the changes to the Omnibus Election Code. But we have to take a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. You're still watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Our source today, Comelec Chair George Garcia. Chairman, some lawmakers who are pushing for a constitutional convention say that it's possible na isabay sa barangay and SK elections. What is your position on this?
Yes, Mamay, we are so prepared na isabay ang barangay and SK election simultaneously with the election for the delegates for the Constitutional Convention. However, we asked Congress when we went to the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriation if in case na isasabay talaga siya, makakatipid naman po, because if we're going to separate the election for the delegates for the Constitutional Convention will be spending about 11 to 12 billion pesos. If in case it will be simultaneously done or be held with the barangay and SK election, we'll be needing an additional 3.8 billion pesos only. So medyo makakatipid po ang ating bayan in the event na isasabay. Kaya po ba ng Comelec? Can we do that? The answer is yes, ma'am. We'll only be using the same number of electoral board members, same number of ballot boxes, but we are going to print additional 67 million ballots for the 67 million registered voters. And at the same time, Mamay, we are going to increase the honoraria of our electoral board members and other support staff.
Okay. Chairman, you have finished the 964-page draft of proposed changes to the Omnibus Election Code. Tell us more about the main changes that you are proposing to Congress and what are the priorities?
Yes, Mamay, our Omnibus Election Code is circa December 5 in 1985. Try to imagine, even earlier than the Constitution of 1987. It's high time that we amend or revise, not only amend, the 1985 Omnibus Election Code in order for us to be able to adjust to the changing times, especially the modern technology that we have right now, and especially that we are automating the election, national and local, and perhaps the barangay and SK election late. That's why the election created a committee for purposes of making the necessary study on the proposed revision of the Omnibus Election Code. And the committee was able to come up just the other day with a 964 pages page Omnibus Election Code. And we're hoping that the same will be submitted to us, to the Commission and Bank for our review. And in the event, Mamay, that this Omnibus Election Code, revised Omnibus Election Code will be approved by us, by the Commission and Bank, we will respectfully submit this to our Senate and the House of Representatives, to both Committee on Constitutional Reforms and People's Participation, so that perhaps in case they will agree with the provisions as contained in the revised code, it will be passed and we will now have a new Omnibus Election Code.
Chairman, can you tell us what will happen to the party list system?
Yeah, we are hoping that, we included the provision of the party list likewise on the Omnibus Election Code. We're hoping that there will be a separate legislation to amend Republic Act 7941, which is the party list law. Indeed, we have to ensure that there will be greater and equal participation of the marginalized and the underrepresented sector. It had been complained, even in the past, that the party list system no longer caters to the marginalized and underrepresented. We in the Commission on Election will do our best, Ma'am Mai, to be able to screen party list applicants for accreditation. But however, based on the latest decision of the Supreme Court in the case of Atong Paglaong versus the Commission on Election, the Supreme Court pointed out that you don't need to be really a member of the party list of the sector that you want to represent. You need not be a marginalized or the underrepresented sector to be able to represent this sector in Congress. You must only prove that you have an advocacy as far as this sector is concerned. So that is where the loophole will come. And so we would like to remedy that situation, but we're hoping that separate legislation will come in and to amend Republic Act 7941.
Chairman, very quickly, I hope you can answer in 30 seconds because we're running out of time. What about tandem voting and proposals for online voting?
Tandem voting, ma'am, it's up to it should be based on the Constitution. But tandem voting, we are going to reduce the choice of the people. Perhaps the people should be allowed to make a greater and wider choice. And your second question, ma'am, Mai, please.
For online voting, sir.
Online voting, definitely we should have online voting. We should push for online voting for overseas Filipinos so that they will be able to vote on election day, especially our seafarers.
Thank you for your time this morning, Chairman, Comelec Chairperson George Garcia. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Maya Rodriguez. You're watching CNN Philippines.